It's Sunday morning with Mark Sainsbury.
Now, Dr. Harold Hillman, you would have heard him here on Radio Live before. Now, he's an expert on leadership. He's an expert in all sorts of things, but he's written a lot on it. He's an expert on it. He's advised some of the top people in the world. But he's been casting his careful and professional eye over the leader of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis. Welcome to Sunday Mornings again, Harold.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here.
Look, everyone's fascinated by this Pope Francis. Is he what you would call, in your parlance, I suppose, an authentic leader?
Look, he certainly comes across that way, and authenticity comes from within. So it's something about how the person is, not even necessarily what the person does. And I think that that's what people are really drawn to about Pope Francis. It's how he is. As a priest and as a cardinal in Buenos Aires, he certainly knew the streets. And there's something real and there's something tangible about somebody that can relate to you. And there's that sense that they don't have to put on a lot of pretense or be something bigger than they are. So I love the fact that he's even taken on a lot of the elite sort of components of the Catholic Church, and really beginning to challenge a lot of things that keep them so distant from the average person.
So you need to have the track record, you need to have the background. You couldn't just come into the job and suddenly you're going to start acting like this. You need to have something behind you.
That's right. That's right. There is something about experience in life, and I think that it's just easier for people to be authentic the older that they get, because they take more pressure off of themselves to be these perfect people, and they start coming to terms with things that they're not necessarily all that good at or will never be. But there is something about needing to have sat in the seat, and I think that the fact that he was a street pastor, as a priest, he has even as a pope washed the feet of not only the first pope to wash the feet of a woman, but a Muslim woman, which is huge, and to embrace people with diseases and to get out into the streets and to not even move into the residency of the traditional pope, but to live in a guest house, basically. All of those things really are a consistency that probably comes with age and experience and, the sense of inner character.
See, it's funny, you look at that connection there has, and you look at how he does these things with ordinary people and treats some of the people that others would have marginalised. It reminds me a bit of Princess Di.
Yeah, there is that sense of, and I think, now that you mention it, you're absolutely right, Mark. There is that sense of, I can relate to this person, and so therefore, this person can influence me more effectively. There's a sense of connection. Lady Di had that connection with the real people. And Pope Francis has that connection as well, absolutely.
He's been described as the servant leader.
Yeah.
Isn't that a contradiction in terms?
Not really. If you, I think about servant leadership, the premise that we are only as strong as our weakest member. And so, as a leader of a team, I should really be focused on the person who may be struggling the most and extend myself in a way that validates that person, regardless of their rank or where they may fit in the structure, that I can serve them, that there's a sense that your role is so important that your needs come before mine. It was something that I became familiar with in the military. As an officer in the military, servant leadership was one of the principles where if you were dining with your troops, you were the last to serve yourself. You were always serving others. It's a mentality that's about a deeper sense of connection, and that is, if I can tell somebody who's struggling, who may be, lesser in rank in the organization, if I can just sort of reach out and make a difference to them, and booster their confidence, that's a real plus. And too many of our leaders get detached from the real people who walk through their doors every day.
Is there also a danger, Harold, that if he is so successful and does so well, the problem is he's one guy, and if everyone looks at him as being fantastic, the rest of the organisation can't live up to it? Yeah,
that's right. There is a bit of a dilemma there. and that is, can the greatness of, in this case, a pope, or in the case of leaders in organizations, can the greatness of one person sustain itself? I think Apple had to come to that conclusion after Steve Jobs died. And there was a significant decline in, just a lot of external indicators that suggested, hey, you put all of your apples in one basket. And so I think that that's a dilemma. It's going to be one, and I think that it's really now, what can he do around some of the more traditional aspects of Catholic doctrine and just sort of the traditional stuff that's irrelevant or doesn't resonate with people, particularly younger people. The fact that he's got Twitter, I mean, that in and of itself is just mind-boggling if you think about the Pope.
He's connected. Look, before we go, if you were advising clients, if you were in your professional capacity advising clients, what lessons? If you said to them, have a look at this guy, look at this Pope Francis, what are the lessons you would say you could transfer from what he's done to someone in a leadership role in a business?
Sure thing. I would say, look, there's probably, the Pope has got to rank as one of the top 3 most powerful people on earth in terms of influence. And so you're not going to get a title bigger than that. And here's a person who has detached his real persona from all of the trappings of that title that a lot of times alienate people and distance you from, being real. People can't talk to you or relate to you anymore. And I love the fact that he, one of the most powerful people on earth, has detached himself consistently from a lot of that. And, his emphasis is on connection. And I would suggest to leaders who are stepping into big roles, chief executives, senior executives in organizations, directors on boards, just be mindful that you have to work extra hard to keep yourself connected and relevant. And, because that's the best way of making a contribution around some of the major decisions you have to make.
Great. Dr. Harold Hillman. Now, look, you can check out Dr. Harold. Go to the website www.sigmoid, that's SIGMOID, curve.com. Or you can follow him on Twitter, of course, just like the Pope, at Dr. Dr. That's Dr. Harold Hillman. Thanks for your time, Harold. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you, Mark. Take care.